Henry, thanks for joining us. Looking ahead to tomorrow's game against Yeovil, how has the first kind of 8 days for yourself and Rossi gone? What have you kind of learned in this period?
First 3 or 4 days were very hectic, for being honest. Like I said, when you're inheriting something in relation to a group of players and a manager and a way of doing things, we've talked lots of times this week about getting the balance right between what we want to tweak and what we want to keep the same. And so you're thinking about all those little bits to make sure that you get everything right when you hit the ground running, which we have done this week. And then this week's been very much focused on the football, preparing for Yeovil tomorrow, and we've had a really good week, really good week preparing for it.
Coming in from being academy manager, and I imagine that's a very demanding role, you're very wrapped up in that. How much of the first team did you get to see prior to taking on this role, and what have you kind of picked up in the time that you have been working?
Well, I've seen quite a lot still. Saturday afternoons are usually only really taken up if I might be wearing out, if there's any younger players online going out to watching them, so I still see a fair amount of the first team football. So knew the group, but you don't really get to know the players until you get in and amongst it. So the important thing for myself when we were coming in was that not to have any preconceptions on anybody, and make sure that everybody's got a free opportunity to come and show us what they're made of in terms of them as a character and them as a footballer, which the group's been excellent with, and they have gone and done. And the training group that we've had so far this week, the attitude from them, the application and the quality, what's been demanded from them, from myself and Rossi, has been absolutely outstanding.
Do you think it helps them having new people coming? Obviously Rossi's been involved heavily, but to have kind of new people leading it and fresh voice, fresh ideas as well?
Difficult to say, if I'm being honest. The easy answer would be for me to turn around and say, yeah, of course, yeah, it definitely helps them. But you don't know. Some players, Martin Allen's had 20 years experience coaching and managing in the game of football, and will have a style that some players will have responded very well to, and some players won't necessarily responded just as well to. And I will be exactly the same, and Rossi will be a third variety, but he will be exactly the same as well. So some players, I'm sure, will have embraced it. In fact, all players have embraced it, but some players will have embraced it in the knowledge that it's their style of coaching that they're going to really look forward to and thrive off. Other players will be embracing it, but just having to tweak their learning styles, if you like, to be able to adjust to some of the slightly different methods that Rossi and I are looking to put in place. But one thing you can absolutely guarantee from the players is that they've been excellent, and they're all doing their absolute level best to embrace it and to implement what's being asked of them by myself and Rossi, which can't ask for anything more than that.
Switching the focus to Yeovil this weekend, you obviously went and saw them last weekend with Barnet not having a fixture. How do you assess what they've done this season and kind of in recent weeks? They've put together some real results.
Yeah, not least 9 goals in the last 2 games, which speaks for itself. They're moving in the right direction, just as we are. They play some good football in their attacking half of the pitch. They look to combine them to get forward runners, and they get shots on goal. They get shots on goal where they have the opportunities to. That's what we'd expect from any team moving in the right direction in League 2. So we're aware of that. We're very much focused on our game plan, what we want to do. Our players going out there to get the performance that we need and the result that we need at the end of it.
And this week, Jack Taylor's been recalled from his loan. What was the thinking there?
Something that Rossi and I have been talking about for a little while, even well before the manager left. Really, he'd been outstanding, and we were speaking to the manager at Hampton about how well he'd been performing. And ultimately, the point about sending players out on loan is that if they perform they go out, they perform in a first team environment, perform well, while then coming back in and then looking to train alongside the first team. If they perform well in a first team environment outside of here, come back in and see how they've progressed, to see whether or not they're ready to cut it in a first team environment. So we wanted to give Jack that opportunity to show that in training this week, which he's done well with, and we'll see how it progresses over the coming weeks, solely in the first team environment.
And finally, can you give us an update on the injury front? Who's home?
No real change in the injury updates. Some of the long-standing ones all remain, and so they're getting rehabbed by Luigi. Only thing to say is Santor goes ill, unfortunately. We're struggling a little bit yesterday, and it's come down worse today, and we don't want any risk with any of the other players in the camp. So Sam's off at the moment, which is a shame, but I think you can do about these things. So Rossi and I have adapted, and we'll be strong going into Yeovil tomorrow.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Henry.
Thanks, Tom.